Methodist Church, a podcast of discussions with substance. Join our staff and leaders of our church as we journey through topics that inform, engage, and inspire the daily life of our church.
Hello and welcome to the Roundtable, a podcast of discussions with substance here at Pulaski Heights United Methodist Church. My name is Daniel Curry, and I'm the Caring Ministries Associate here, and it is a joy to be with you all today. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had some great conversations with members of our church, and today we are so glad to have Mark and Laura Spradley join us for the podcast. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, well, we're so glad that you're here, and just to start things off, we would love to know how you came to be members of Pulaski Heights and how long you've been a member here of Pulaski Heights.
I preceded Laura, if that's not already obvious. I was born in the church.
Yeah.
And my first memory is I was in my mother's arms in the old apartment building that was the church down the street. And it was hot. There was nothing comfortable about it. I couldn't understand the preacher. I couldn't understand why an older man was up there really pounding on something. And I thought, why am I here? Well, only because Mother was holding me and making me be.
Right.
That was how it started, sort of. But the Sunday school classes were down in the basement of the old apartment building that the church was using then. And as I got a few years older and had friends, it was, a lot of fun, the Sunday school classes. But the instruction was great.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember the most. I loved it.
That's wonderful.
Still have my Bible they handed me.
All right.
So.
Well, and a few years later, back in the late 80s, I was transferred here for a job, and I had a little house on Spruce. And so I started walking up here to church. It was a great neighborhood church.
Yeah.
And met Lynn Lindsay, and the rest was kind of history. She wrote me into teaching Sunday school for the 4-year-olds. And in fact, Katie Dunn was one of my
wonderful.
First little Sunday school students. So we laugh about that. But consequently met Mark and his daughter Kate here. Went to totally different services and finally figured out we were going to the same church through common friends. So that's how it started for me. It was just being a neighborhood church, which we still are, which is
great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how has Pulaski Heights really influenced your faith journey specifically? How has this church played a part in that for you all?
Well, I think of lots of things, but United Methodist Women, I know there's a new name for it, United
Women in Faith, I think.
So
yeah.
that was a big thing for me. I joined that early on with Lynn's guidance, and of course Bevel Lines. Sunday school has been a huge factor in our lives, and then to me, just raising the children here, your faith just grows stronger and stronger as you have children and go through all kinds of scenarios and things like that. We were married in this church, so we have lots of things to talk about with the church.
Yeah.
But that's but for my faith, it's always just been here, been a good place.
Mm-hmm. Good church to raise a family in.
Oh, it was a great one.
Oh, good.
The Pulaski Heights area was just rich with good folks. I mean, wonderful people. And my brother Jim was 10 years older, and so he was already, up and around and doing things. And so I thought he just was the greatest, and he was for so much of my life, and still is. Jimmy had friends. He was having a good time. And so he taught me to have friends and have a good time too. And then so many of my first and second and third grade class members that lived in these neighborhoods, many of them came here. So it was just we'd go to school together. Then a lot of us would go to church together, and it was a strong neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
great.
for you, you've participated in Men Alive and all kinds of things.
Yeah, Men Alive was good. That's the adult thing when you've moved along that way. That wasn't the most influencing thing. That was enriching and it was rewarding. But the most influencing thing is when I came here is like who you going to play with at recess, or who you going to do this with, or something. And then it got more serious. But the good part was we had wonderful Sunday school teachers, and one of them was the father of my brother's friend, and he was a super guy. But the way they taught us, back then it was easygoing, fun, and they kept it interesting. We were sitting there like, wow, that's neat, and then we would relate to it and tell stories. But the programs were aimed at us, and they were really good. Yeah. So it was interesting, fun, and we really enjoyed it. And then we came together, and I never had any reason to go anywhere else.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Over the past couple of weeks, we've heard a lot about the community that you can find here at Pulaski Heights. So I'm glad that y'all have been able to be a part of that through Sunday school growing up, or through United Women in Faith, and all these different programs and ministries that we have here and are able to have and be a part of. It's been wonderful. Is there anything else that comes to mind that makes this church special for you, that helps it stand out in your mind?
For me, I love the mission work, too. We participate in some of that. I mean, you can do everything from food pantry to the diaper drive. Our kids were always active in OMP. I mean, you were with our kids, so the OMP was just life-changing for them. And then we still do things. I'm trying to think. Then another good thing is just the travel group. You're traveling with people that you have a faith, the commonality of faith, and then we went to Israel with the travel groups.
Yeah.
There's just so many things. You could find something here that would unite you with someone else if you were just new to town or new to the church. I just feel like there's so many avenues. But I personally feel like the mission work is just, we're not just sitting in church every Sunday. We're out there doing things.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I keep going back to the early days because that was so influential in my life at that time. Mm-hmm. I lost my father when he was 5. And
you were 5.
I was 5. I'm sorry. That was traumatic, but I had a brother 10 years older, and Jim Spradley. He's been very, very important to the church, but this church was more important to him. And we had a lot to do. And then Jimmy convinced Tommy, my other brother, 2 years older, we joined Boy Scouts, and then that was a big deal. Yeah. And it wasn't so much for Tommy, but I took off with it. And it just, boy, was that ever great. And this church has just been super and supportive, and been a great place.
That's wonderful.
Everything that
In the youth groups, Jay and Katie.
Yeah. Any memory in particular that stands out in your mind? I know that being a member for so long, there's probably a flood of them that can come back, but from raising kids in this church to being a part of it, is there any special memory that you enjoyed?
I know you're going to say our wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that, right?
Yeah. There are memories that jump into my mind all the time.
Yeah.
And but I'm with Laura all the time, so she's in my mind all the time. But my daddy's funeral, and then Mother died much later. But Daddy was 47, and it seemed like at that time everybody in the world came to the funeral. Yeah. And then after that, the boys all got a lot of attention from all of those people, and this church was so supportive. But that never goes away from my mind. Yeah. I think about that all the time. But then the Sunday school teachers that took small classes, and they'd take personal interest, and those are the things that stick in my mind really the most. Yeah.
I think of the children's performances at Christmas and choir, the children's choir.
That's awesome. Like that. So as we look ahead, as we wrap up our discussion here today, if we look ahead 50 years, what gets you excited about our church? What are you hopeful for? What makes you excited about the future of Pulaski Heights?
That it's level-headed, and it's commonsensical, and it's very religious, and it's potpourri. I mean, you can take your choice of what part of the religion you want to go after the most. I mean, you could bury yourself in it and become narrow-minded with just one thing, But they have so many programs here. We have so many programs here. And some people can do a big venture once a year, and come back and stronger than ever,
Yeah.
Others can come up here and look like they're goofing around, but the ones that look that way they're not wanting to leave. They want to come back the next week too.
Yeah.
And then that's what you want. And then pretty soon they're raising their hand with something that's really significant.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I like to see.
Yeah. So those programs just continue to be strong. That's awesome.
That's right.
And our leadership keeps them interesting and thinking about what is it going to be like in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Just like these podcasts and the TV ministry. I mean, that's huge. We reach a lot of people through that.
Yes.
I mean, who knows what we'll be doing in 50 years.
It's exciting to think about. But,
that is.
Yeah. And the columbarium's been a huge asset too.
Yes, it has. There are so many different pockets of ministry throughout our church that if you look behind the scenes, if you look behind the curtain, there's always a lot going on. So it's exciting.
And to see you young people taking over, helping out, that's great.
Yeah, we're blessed with a great staff, and we're blessed to be a part of this church alongside a lot of great people, including you all. So
a lot of great people. Yeah. We've had a lot of great preachers over the years.
Yeah.
And boy. And then Boy Scouts. I mean, that was big to me. The church really supported Scouts. My older brother said our other brother really needed to get in Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And then he came back in, and for the first time in my life, Tommy wasn't complaining anymore. He said, "Mark, this is the neatest thing in the world."
Yeah.
So I couldn't wait to jump in, and all my friends jumped in, and I kind of never stopped, and I went into the leadership end of it and did that. And that was extremely rewarding.
That's awesome.
Boy, life has changed.
Well, thank y'all so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of our discussion today. And thank you all for listening in and joining us on another episode of The Roundtable, a podcast of discussions with substance here at Pulaski Heights United Methodist Church. We hope that you join us for the next one. Take care.